As Israeli forces continue to scour Gaza's Al-Shifa hospital, one plastic surgeon at the facility told NBC News today that dozens of ICU patients have died over the past week, adding that 6 days ago there were 42 premature babies, and now there are 36. It comes as the IDF recovered the bodies of 19-year-old soldier Noah Marciano, as well as 65-year-old Yehudit Weiss, who were both taken hostage by Hamas. Israeli forces say they were discovered in a building adjacent to the hospital. They also claim to have found tunnels and weapons within the complex, though so far they have not provided definitive evidence that Hamas command centers exist beneath Al-Shifa. In the meantime, the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is growing even worse. The United Nations was forced to stop deliveries of food and other necessities to the region today because of a near total communication blackout caused by a lack of fuel. The UN also issued a stark warning that because of the lack of food aid, the entire population of Gaza is facing the immediate possibility of starvation. Cindy McCain, who is the executive director of the World Food Program, said today that supplies of food and water are practically non-existent in Gaza, and only a fraction of what is needed is arriving through the borders. The World Health Organization is also sounding the alarm about the spread of disease, especially with winter approaching, as the bombardment has caused overcrowding into shelters with scarce clean water. Joining me now is Hani Al-Madhoun, Director of Philanthropy at the United Nations Relief and Works Agency. Mr. Al-Madhoun, thank you so much for being here. Today, the government in Israel dropped leaflets, or the IDF dropped leaflets warning people to flee south, to flee to southern Gaza towns. But that comes after people in North Gaza were warned to flee to the south. So now they're saying to flee to south. Where are they going to go, and what will be waiting for Gazans when they get there, or wherever they go?
Yeah, it's a lot. You know, folks can't find a safe place in Gaza right now. We're looking at families that moved south already. There's about 1.5 million Palestinian refugees who've sheltered south, and now they're asking them to move. No idea where that move is going to take them to. It's unfortunate because we look at our colleagues at UNRWA, their staff, or the facilities of the UN, and 60% of those facilities that were bombed in the south. It is unfortunate that, you know, even UN flag buildings, UN staff are targeted in those safe zones. Every day there is bomb in Nusayrat. Every day there is bomb in Khan Yunis. Unfortunately, my family still remains behind north, and they're also seeing a lot of death and destruction all around them. It is simply there is no safe place. We definitely want a ceasefire, a sustainable one that will save lives. And unfortunately, there is no place in Gaza that is safe, something we've been saying for the last 42 days.
You know, it strikes me that, and I'm going to put a photo of you and your nephew, your nephew, who is also named Hani. He was shot by a sniper earlier this week. He somehow survived. Please tell us what happened to him.
Yeah, Hani Jr. got shot on Sunday in Sheikh Radwan neighborhood north. He wanted to go get there out of gas, so he wanted to get the gas cylinder. He never made it to the home, and he got shot in the head. He's given us really a reason to sort of like be thankful in Thanksgiving next week, because this is something, you know, miraculous. He got shot. Some brave person really pulled him away from that danger zone, got an ambulance, took him to the Baptist hospital inside Gaza. And guess what? The hospital is overcrowded. There is no room to take anybody. He was outside with 24 other injured Palestinians. Dad finds out. He runs. Lucky enough, he finds a car with enough fuel, looks for his son inside the parking lot, and then all of a sudden he finds him. No ambulance is coming. He takes him back to the Indonesian hospital, which you've heard is being bombed. In fact, an hour before I came here, it got bombed again. They do a surgery for him under the flashlight for his skull. Obviously, the bullet hit his skull, but it did not get into his brain. And 3 hours later, Hani is recovering from his surgery. I was told today that he is able to speak and see. And we feel so fortunate. But this is a really close one, because he's a good kid. He's 16 years old. And I don't know what to tell you. He did nothing for the Israelis. He did nothing wrong. He had no time to make a bad decision that will put him on a target list. But sadly, he fell.
I am glad that he has made it through that. Let me play for you a bit of an interview with my colleague and friend Mehdi Hassan did with Mark Regev, who is an ambassador to the current Prime Minister Netanyahu. He's Israel's former ambassador to the UK. Take a listen to that interview.
More than 11,000 people dead, reported dead, 4,000 children. I just want to pull up on the screen.
Hamas's numbers. Hamas's numbers. You have no idea how many of them are Hamas terrorists, combatants, and how many are civilians. Hamas would have you believe that they're all civilians, that they're all children.
I have seen lots of children with my own lying eyes being pulled from the rubble.
Because they're the pictures Hamas wants you to see. Exactly my point.
And also because they're dead,
they're the pictures Hamas wants.
But they're also people that your government has killed. You accept that, right? You've killed children, or do you deny that?
No, I do not. I do not. I do not. First of all, you don't know how those people died, those children.
Oh, wow.
What do you make of Ambassador Regev casting doubt on whether it is indeed 4,000 children who have died, whether they are actually children, or even the overall numbers of dead in Gaza? Does the UN have some independent way of knowing this and verifying it? And what do you make of the doubts being cast?
Well, UNRWA does not really make an independent claim. We've been reliant on the numbers provided by the Health Ministry, and they've been reliant through the years. You know, UNRWA is no stranger to this part of the world. You know, I work with UNRWA USA, an independent agency. Now, we don't have any reason to believe there is any lies or fraud here because it's proportional. We're seeing 103 of our staff being killed. So this is just really proportional to what we see. I've known so many families in Gaza that lost loved ones. In fact, if I count, maybe 60 people with the same last name at least from my family got killed. So those are real people, you know, and this, sadly speaking, as a Palestinian American with family in Gaza, this ambassador is basically telling us, you know, whoever is there controlling the stories. And, you know, we want to make sure, you know, we continue to support the people. That's why when we hear stories from the Israelis inside the Shifa hospital, we get concerned because they also control the story. And, you know, they don't allow foreign reporters into Gaza. I wonder why this is. They don't also allow the Red Cross to work in Gaza safely. Who's going to verify if you're bombing them every 5 minutes, if you're bombing the UN, if you're bombing reporters and first responders?
Yeah. Hani Al Madoun, I'm wishing your family well. Thank you so much for some of your time tonight. Be well. We'll be right back.